Hey everybody, this is going to be the tutorial that's going to show you how to make this Flower Granny Echo Afghan. So this is going to be the Afghan portion. I have a video tutorial, it's an hour long, that teaches you how to make the granny square, which this is the one that I made on camera. And it uses 4 different colors. And then you just go from the granny and then you just continue it. So you ended with this color, so we're going to begin with this color. We're just going to reattach it somewhere else. So if you just got done making your granny, go ahead and cut your yarn, and you want to make sure that the tails and everything are on the bottom. You want to start working on the good side, the pretty side, the one that doesn't have the cut. And you're still going to be using your 6mm hook or size J hook, and still going to be using the worsted weight yarn in the 4 different colors that you chose for your granny. So we are going to be extending on this one for the Afghan portion. So we ended, the granny was 13 rows. So this will be row 14. So you want to go ahead and grab your yarn again so that we can reattach. Okay, so we're not going to be attaching in our corner space, but we're going to be using this first double crochet right after. So in this first double crochet, you're going to do a single crochet attachment, which is just inserting your hook into that stitch, pulling up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now you should have across the top till you get to this double crochet on this side, you should have 34 stitches. So until you get to your corner, you want to go ahead and do 1 single crochet in all your stitches to the corner. Okay, I've got my last single crochet in that double crochet right before our corner space. And in the corner space, to make our corner for this row, we're going to put 1 single crochet, chain 2, and then 1 single crochet. And then you're going to turn it to your second side now. Be going along, we're going to be doing the exact same thing. Starting in the very first stitch after the corner, put a single crochet in each stitch until you reach the last double crochet here on this corner. And again, you should have 34 stitches down this side as well. Okay, so I just did my last single crochet here in the last double crochet of this corner. Did my 34 single crochets. Now because we have the corner, which also adds a single crochet for this side, the first side, and then another single crochet for the second side, the total number now for each side will be 35. So when you get done with your 34 single crochets that you did, you'll want to chain 2 and turn. Now the chain 2 does count as the first stitch, so you want to go into the next stitch here, and for this row we're going to be doing double crochets. But this time, since like I said we added a single crochet on each side when we made our corner space, you'll have 35 total stitches before you have to make your corner. So remember, the chain 2 counts as 1. So then you'll have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and just continue all the way down until you get to the single crochet here that made up your corner from last row, and you should have 35 stitches. Okay, I just did my double crochet and my single crochet here, right before my corner space. Now in the corner space itself, you want to put a double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. Now you're going to work your second side the same way as you did your first side. In that first single crochet, you're going to put a double crochet, and you're going to put a double crochet in all of your 35 stitches down this side. So keep doing that. You're going to have 35 stitches until you get to your last stitch here. Okay, I'm coming to the end of my row here. And this is my very last stitch of row 15, and you just double crocheted for this side 35 stitches, but if you're counting, then you'll have an extra double crochet for the corner, so you'll have actually a total of 36 stitches, but you only double crochet down your 35 stitches and your corner. And you're going to chain 1 this time and turn. You want to put a single crochet in this very first double crochet, and then in all of your double crochets down your row until you get to the corner. You're adding 1 stitch every row because you're only adding 1 stitch in your corner for each side. So you had a total of 36 stitches, because like I said, because with your corner here you had a total of 36 down your row, so you should be single crocheting in 36 stitches to get to your corner. So just keep doing your single crochets until you get to your corner, and then your corner will always be whatever stitch you're using. So if you're using double crochet, it'll be 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet. And if you're on a single crochet row, then it'll always be a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. You'll always be chaining 2 in your corners. And every time you begin a row where you have to do a chain 2, like to do a double crochet row, that chain 2 will always count as your very first stitch. Okay, doing my last double crochet. Now I'm up to my corner again. So again, like I said, it'll be a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then you will be on your second side. So we'll do that first double crochet after the corner, and then in each stitch until you get to the very last stitch on this side. And this is row 16. After this row, we're going to be switching our color to our border color, and I always used the color after the middle of the flower in the middle. The color after that I use as a border, so whatever color you're using. I know for my Afghan I used a different color, but for the granny square I used off-white. No, I did the same for that square too, so it's going to be white for if you were following me from the flower granny square, or if you're following the picture of the Afghan that you saw. You should have off-white. I love white as a border color because it just sticks out. So I'm going to get to the end here. I did a lot of counting at the beginning just to make sure, but especially after a border row, which is I'll remind you when I get there. This is a chain 2 here at the end. I'm going to put a single crochet in that. When I get to after a border row where you do a something like this, where you do your back post, it'll be something you'll have to watch out for. Okay, so I'm going to change colors for row 17. I'm going to switch to my border color. And I just switch colors by taking it and then just folding a little piece over and slipping this new color in like this. Pull my old loop down And then I like to tie a couple of knots here. I need to get my yarn situated, so I'll be right back. Okay, once you have your yarn attached, go ahead and chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to do what we did before. I'm going to be doing single crochets. So single crochet in your first single crochet, and you're going to be single crocheting down your whole row. Should be 37 stitches into the corner, and then we'll be making our corner space. And since we're using single crochets, our corner space will be single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then we'll turn and we'll do the 37 stitches down our other side until we get to the end. And this is row 7 here. So go ahead, single crochet to the end till you get to your corner space, and then in your corner single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then do your single crochets down your row until you get to the end, and you should have 37 on this side as well. And then a total count, because you'll be adding a single crochet here in the corner along the top with that added corner single crochet, you'll have a total of 38 stitches along the top. And the same goes for this side. You'll have a total of 38 stitches along the bottom. So if you finish your row and you want to do a full count from the new single crochet that you created here in the corner all the way down to the end stitch, then you'll count 38. So I'll see you at the end of row 17. Okay, I just got to the last stitch on row 17. I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn. And now we're going to be using, sorry about that. So now we're going to be using the color that you did before it. So I'm going to grab so whatever color you used after you did your flower, then you did after your border color, then you do the next one, which does the front, the back post I should say, using the back post only. Whatever color you use here, it's going to be the next color you need to attach. So for me it was green, so this is the color I'm going to be grabbing. And again, you can either, slip stitch, and I should say you can either chain 1 and pull your so basically, yeah, slip stitch and end here and then single crochet attach, or you can just change colors like this and tie a couple of knots. It's up to you, it doesn't matter, but you just have to make sure you're going to be on the right side. Okay, once you have your new color attached, you want to go ahead and chain 1 and turn. Now we're on row 18, row 18, and we're going to be doing our back post single crochets. So you want to go in from behind and enter into this very first stitch, and you want to push that post back as you enter into the second stitch. And you can see that post here. You're just going to yarn over, pull through both those stitches. The first one's always the hardest. And then you'll yarn over and pull through 2. Now the second stitch that you went up and then went in will always be the place that you'll start your next front post. So you'll go into that second stitch, and then enter into the third, pushing that post back. Then again you'll pull that thread through both of those stitches, then yarn over and pull through both loops. And this is a back post single crochet, and you'll want to continue to do this for all your stitches down your row. And you can see how it's starting to push the color forward, which creates this border. Just take your time. Go through all of those stitches. You should have 39. Oh, actually this says, okay, I'll have to count at the end. I'm pattern testing, can't talk, as I go through. So I see on this one I have a couple of different numbers, so I'm going to have to actually count at the end. So I'll give you a more accurate count when I get to the end. But I just want to show you. Sorry, I'm in a weird angle, having to bend over. I want to show you when I get to the end, because when it comes to your stitch count, it's pretty easy from row to row to row, because you're just adding, you know, one stitch per side. But on this one it can get a bit tricky, and you can lose a stitch if you're not careful. So on this side, let me just go back to row 17 real quick. Okay, I had 38 stitches per side, including the corner at the end of row 18. So you should have 38 back post double crochets until you get to the corner. Okay, here, this is the part. On this one, it's kind of, let me get a little closer. It's kind of weird the way this one comes out. It's got 3 individual little stitches here. See, 1, 2, and 3. So the first one, you'll want to go through and get those first 2, which leaves you this one single little stitch by itself. You want to make sure you get that single one too. So do a back post single crochet on that one too. Let's count our stitches. We should have 38 stitches. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. So a total of 38 back post single crochets until you get to the corner. And the corner, since we're doing single crochets, we're going to be doing a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in our corner. And now for this side as well, we also want to have 38 stitches till we get to the end. So, but this side is not like this side that had that weird 3 string thing. This one is pretty clear on what that first stitch is. So you'll go into the corner to push that first post back, and then you'll do a single crochet on that post, and then it's pretty standard after that. Just do your single crochet back post, and at the end of this side you should also have 38 back post single crochets, plus the single crochets here that you just added, if you want to count them in. But I'm talking only back post single crochets. So go ahead and finish your 38 back post single crochets for this side till you get to the very last one, and then that'll be the end of row 18. Okay, I'm just finishing my last back post single crochets. Then your last one will be this very last post on the end. First and last ones are always a pain. There we go. There we go. Okay, so after this you're going to continue to stay with this color. So for row 19 you're going to be going back to double crochets. So you'll be chaining 2. So the repeat is going to be, it's hard to say, well, the repeat should start somewhere where it can be a good border. So I guess the actual first border row when you do your color, and then you'll have your back post after that, and then it's going to be a repeat, because this little section, each section, if you see here, see all the different colors separated by a border row. Each strip of these will be the same. So if you want to remember here on the video where when you first did the border color, and then the next second row repeat would be the one we just did, where we turned it into a, you know, an actual border. And then this would be like the third row of the repeat, where you'll chain 2 and you'll turn, and you're going to be doing double crochets down your whole row. So again, every time you do a chain 2, it will count as your first stitch. So the second stitch of your row, you want to do a double crochet. And remember, as you do your double crochets here, be careful, don't go through and into your border. Just stick with the same color. If you need to try to push it down some, you can. Just be careful. So this is row 19, and again you're going to be adding only 1 stitch per row. So we had a total of 39 stitches if you count the one corner space here. So we had 38 stitches that we actually did, but we do our corner, which adds that 1. So that means we'll have 39 stitches this row that we'll have to go through until we reach our corner, and it'll do that every row. So next it'll be 40 stitches before you reach and do your corner, then it'll be 41 stitches. So it's pretty easy, just it's going to go up by 1 every time, so it should be pretty easy for you to keep count. The hardest row there is in losing count is that last row we just did, when you do the back post single crochets, because when you get to that corner space with that weird 3 stitch thing on the end right before the corner, you just want to make sure you're doing the single little string one as a stitch as well. But if you do that, then you'll never lose your stitch. Well, I haven't prepared my yarn because I wasn't expecting to keep crocheting and talking. So sorry, I have to keep grabbing my yarn. So go ahead and continue your double crochets. And since you're on a double crochet row, remember you'll do a double crochet, chain 2 double crochet here in the corner, and then you'll do your double crochet all the way to the end of your row. Okay, so essentially when we started here, we only had 1 row double crochets, and that's how we ended our granny square. And then we did our very first row of this video that showed you the single crochet, then we did double crochet, single crochet, and that's where we're at right now. We just did a row of double crochets. So for row 19 we're going to chain 1 and turn, keeping with the same color, and we're going to be doing those rows of single crochet. I don't want to put it on a repeat yet, just because I want to at least finish a whole section of color. So I'm going to put my single crochet in that first stitch. So we'll be doing a single crochet in all your stitches for row 19, and you should have 39 stitches that you have to single crochet down. And then when you get to the corner, you'll add your single crochet, chain 2 single crochet, which will add that one more single crochet for this side, giving you a total of 40 single crochets on this side. And that's how it's going to work every time. It really is easy blanket. The most difficult part is that other row, like I said, the border row, the back post. But I wouldn't recommend skipping that because it really adds an awesome texture. So again, this row we're doing now is basically the row that we did when I first started this tutorial. It's a single crochet row for row 19, then row 20 will be double crochet row, and then we'll do one more single crochet row after that for row 21, and then we're going to switch to our border color. Whoops, I'm trying to do a double crochet here. So single crochet, chain 2 single crochet for your corner, and then I'm single crocheting down all my stitches down this row. So go ahead and continue to do that, and I'll see you at the end of row 19. Okay, just got to the end of row 20. I counted my stitches. I have 41 stitches, 42 total. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. Yeah, 42. Yeah. So we did, that's counting the corner, the new single crochet corner. Sorry, I was looking at my pattern. It seems like I might have lost a stitch before. Like maybe I was telling you the wrong number. If I did, I'm sorry about that. But on the end of row 20, you should have done 41 stitches, and with the added one here, you should have a total of 42 stitches for the side. And okay, so for row 21, we just did a row of single crochet, so we're going to do a row of double crochets. So you want to chain 2 and turn. And remember that chain 2 counts as a stitch. So we had 42 stitches for this side total, like I said just now. So we should have 42 yeah, 42 total, because counting our ending double, our corner, we should have a total of 42 for this side, which means we should have 42 double crochets, and then we'll be adding a stitch in the corner, which will give us 43 total for the side. I know it can be confusing, but it's pretty simple when you're doing it, because you just do it in each stitch and then you do your corner and that's it. So continue, put your double crochets. So in each little strip here, it'll always begin with your single crochet back post double crochet, which is like, it's essentially a single crochet row when you're looking at it from behind like this, but of course we know they're single crochet back post. And then the one after that is double crochet, and then you'll do the next one, which is single crochet, which you just did, and then you'll do double crochet again. And then because the beginning was like a single crochet row, then the next one will be a single crochet row. So essentially it's going to be single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and that's what makes up the look of your strips. That's what it looks like. Like I said, the first one is back post back post single crochet, as you know. So that's what your strip will be consisting of before you change your color again to your strip color, which for me is yellow. I don't know what color you have. I would love to see the different colors that people make out there. So if you do make this Afghan, please share it with me on the crochet board. I actually have two. There's Crochet for the Masses, which is like a private one where people can share. There's no posting of like for sale patterns or anything. And then there's Crochet Zone Public, and that's the one that has people put their sales, crochet sales on, or if they have a pattern for sale, they can put it on there. So I guess it just depends on what kind of Facebook group you're looking for. But I have all those links down there below for you. I have a Facebook business page, which is the one that I share other people's designs as well. And then at the end of the week, I take all the total counts of reactions and shares and everything that people did on all of the posted that week, and then I have something called the Week in Review, where I will share with everybody what the top 3 patterns that were shared of the week. Also put this in my newsletter too. So if you don't really do the Facebook thing, then you can still see what the top 3 posts were on my Facebook page, because I don't share the link to the Facebook page. I share their link on my newsletter, so you can just go right to the top 3 patterns and go right directly to their pages. Sorry if I'm getting off camera a little bit. I'm just kind of trying to work quickly, and if I'm in camera when it's this close, let me go back a little bit. I really have to be in a weird angle. So we're doing double crochet, so in the corner we did our double crochet, chain 2 double crochet, and now I'm just doing my double crochets until I get to the end. And this is row 21. So I'm almost at the end of row 21. Sometimes I've noticed with my hook, I don't know if you noticed, my 6mm hook has such a point to it, so sometimes it likes to grab the yarn weird when I'm trying to pull it through. Be careful, don't go through the chain 1, because the chain 1 doesn't count, just the stitch. So that is the end of row 21. So for row 22, we're going to keep the same color, but this is going to be the last row of this color. So we just did double crochet, so our final row for this, whatever you want to call it, this section, this strip, is going to be single crochets. So we chain 1, and then we're going to put single crochets. So for row 22, this will be the last time you'll use this color before you need to change it. And also it's going to be single crocheting to the corner. And then you'll do your corner, which is going to be the single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Feel free to count your stitches. I had a piece of paper that I kept beside me, and every time I went and finished a row, I would write down the row number. Actually, I had a piece of paper, I wrote down all the, like 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, you know, row 1, row 2, row 3. And every time I finished a row, I would count that side, and then I would write that number down. Because I just wanted to stay consistent, because I was making a pattern. But if you want to do that as well, and then just count it every 2, 3, or even 4 rows, you can. I mean, as long as you count every so often, you can make corrections if you did end up making, you know, a boo-boo somewhere in your shortest stitch somewhere. You can always increase somewhere, and if you have an extra, you can always decrease somewhere. So it's very forgiving. This blanket's pretty easy. So now I'm just finishing my single crochets row 22 here. So I'm going to get to the end of the row, and then I'm going to cut my yarn and switch to my border color again, which is going to be the yellow, and then I'll get my yarn situated, and then that'll be the last row, because essentially it's a repeat after that. But I want to finish that border row just because I want to show you how I did the border around the whole blanket. I did very simple. I like simple borders just to give it more of a clean look. I'm not really into the fancy schmancy borders, though sometimes they can be really cool, especially if the blanket is pretty plain. Then the border can really make the Afghan. But for something like this, I think it has enough color and enough texture on its own. You don't need to add any more flair. Okay, I'm getting to the end here. Then in that ending chain 2. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn. And then, hold on a second. Oh, good. My yarn actually got out of my bin here, so I don't have anything in my bin. I'm going to drop my new color in there. I like to give myself a little extra slack so I don't have to keep grabbing on screen. Okay, so I'm going to switch my color to my border color again. And then this will be the repeat again of the border row. So you'll be chaining 1 and turning. Then you're going to be putting a single crochet in all your stitches. You want to make sure when you're starting your next color. So when you start your border row color, you always want to make sure that the back of the project is facing you, so when you turn and you attach your next color, you'll be doing the right way and pulling the stitch forward correctly. So just make sure when you're adding your border color that you're going to be on the back side, just like you are right now. So go ahead and get this border row done, and I'm going to show you how I attached my color along the outside, just so you have an idea of how I did the border around the whole thing. So I'll see you back in a minute. Okay, when you get to the end of your row, you want to have you want to end. Of course, for you, it's going to be switching your color. And I went from, let me show you only well, considering you haven't used this color yet, then that'll be the next color. So your flower color will be the color that you do next after this. So that would be the pink color. But since it's just a repeat, I'm just going to show you, I'll show you on a picture because it's probably the most easiest to show you the color pattern that I did, but you can feel free to make every, keep blanking on what I want to call these strips. Every strip could be a different color. That's completely up to you how you want to do your coloring pattern, but I'll show you how I did mine on the picture, like I said, so you have an idea of how I did mine. Now, because I want to show you how I did my border, usually you use the same color that you used in between, so it would be my yellow or the white on the Afghan. This is the same color that I used around the whole outside. And all it is a row of single crochets and then a row of double crochets. So it's just a very simple 2-row border. But you need to know which stitches that I used. And as you can see, hopefully you can see here, and I'll show you, there's a stitch inside the border row, and then you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches that run in the actual color part. So every strip will have 7 stitches on its border and 1 in the actual border itself. Let me move that out of the way. But because the last color I showed you was the border color, just to get a different look, I'm going to show you. And you can start on any side. I'm trying to decide which one. I think what I did was I attached it here like I always did, and then I just did my row of single crochets into the corner. And of course, since I'm using single crochets on the first row of the border, I would do 2 single crochets, you know, one single crochet, 2 chain 2, and then 1 single crochet in the corner like always. And then after that, you'll do the border of double crochets, and then you'll do the corner the exact same way as you do all the time for a double crochet row, which is just putting a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the corner. And then of course you'll come down and you'll do your stitches as normal. But the side stitches here are the ones that you'll probably have the most issue with till you get to your granny. And then of course you just follow as normal the stitches of the granny, and then in the corner you'll do the corners the same way. So the only really tricky spot is the side stitches. And like I said, what I did for the side stitches, so I'm going to attach my yarn. I guess I'm going to attach it a little ahead, just so I can show you. When I got to the end of my row here on my border, you have 1 final stitch, the last single crochet of the row, and I would just make that last stitch of the row my border. So instead of just putting a single crochet in there, I'd chain 2 and put another single crochet just in that final stitch, and then turn to the side. And since this row is already used with this single crochet, you want to move over to the next. And remember, like I said, there'll be 7 stitches along here. So you'll put a single crochet in your single crochet side stitch, and then you come to the double crochet, and double crochets count as 2 stitches. So you want to make sure that you get 2 stitches in this stitch. And you can use, because it's kind of separated, you could use that little stitch there to make it tighter, or just use the big space here and put 2 single crochets in. It's up to you. And then you come to your middle row here, which is a single crochet row, so you want to put only 1 single crochet in that. And then you come here to another double crochet row, so you want to make sure, see what I was talking about, how this double crochet, it actually has like a string through it. So you could put a stitch here and then 1 in the big space, or you could just put 2 in the big space. It's up to you. Just make sure in this double crochet side that you have 2 stitches. And then the last stitch row here, which is the one where we did our single crochet back post, so you want to make sure that you put a single crochet in that one too before you reach your border row. And then on a border row, you just put a single crochet. So you have 1 in the border row, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inside your side stitches, then 1 in the border row, and then this is another side one that goes into the granny square. So we come up to our first single crochet row here, so we're going to put 1, and then we have our side double crochet, so we'll put 2, and then we have our single crochet row, so we'll put 1, and then now where we would normally put 2, you can put 1 in this first space, 1 in the single crochet in that space here, and then you can just, in the corner space here, essentially I put a single crochet, and then you can just start putting single crochets in all your double crochets of your granny. And you'll do that all the way down your granny, and then you'll do your single crochet, chain 2 single crochet here, and you'll come all the way back here where you'll end up with your side stitches again. So you're going to single crochet all the way up to this last double crochet. You'll put a single crochet here, and then you'll do a single crochet in this single crochet row, 2 in your double crochet row, 1 in your single crochet row, 1 in your border, and then you'll do the same like we did before here. 1 in your single crochet, 2 in your double crochet, 1 in your single crochet, 2 in your double crochet, 1 in your single crochet, and then 1 in your border, and you will continue that all the way around. And again, when you get to the first stitch here on the end, make this your corner stitch. So in this first single crochet here, you'll put 1 single crochet, chain 2, 1 single crochet, and that counts as that stitch. So then your next stitch will be here, where you'll start your single crochets all the way around. And then you'll do the same thing with double crochets. The only difference is now you're going to have single crochets already to work in. So you're just going to, it's going to be super easy. You just have to put your double crochets and all your single crochets all the way around, and then your corners will already be corners because you made them in your single crochet. So you'll just put double crochet, chain 2 double crochet in your corner spaces until you get to the end where you'll just slip stitch and end. It's a super easy 2-row border. And I'll have the pattern as always on my website. And I want to show you this too. I'll show you on my actual, see? Just plain old double crochets and do your corners the same way. Back up just a bit. And that is how you'll be doing this whole Afghan. You can make it as big as you like. I just, I stopped early just to make it a smaller blanket, but honestly you can make this as big as you like. I even thought about maybe making a big granny square like this, just making one big granny square and then stopping and making another 4 just like it, and you can make, you know, one huge blanket. And because it's like on a corner like this, you can sew them to where they kind of, you know, shoot out like a star, you know, like each granny square you attach could go, you know, different ways. But you really have options with this. It's really really simple and really pretty. So that's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please don't forget to like and share. It helps me out so much. Also, stay in touch on social media. Like I told you during the tutorial, I have a Facebook page where I post patterns daily, not just my own but others, and then I'll do the week in review at the end. And if you are on my newsletter, you can get that without ever having to be on Facebook. So if you're not on Facebook, you can still find out the best, the most liked patterns that were shared of the week in my newsletter. Also, I'll share my newest projects and usually a roundup. Also, I'm on Pinterest. If you're on there, come check me out. You can find the link down below. I also have a group where a lot of designers share their patterns there as well. So that's a good pattern source for you. All free. All my board on Pinterest is free patterns only on my group there. So that's it, guys. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching.